All right. Thank you very much. Again, we're sorry we started a tad late today. We will also end a tad early. Nonetheless, the Foreign Minister has kindly agreed to focus on the Q&A session. I'll try to keep my introductory remarks reasonably terse as well. As always, welcome to the Foreign Correspondents Club. I'm Dan Sloan, president of this organization. We're honored today to be joined by Dr. Badr Abdulatty. He is Minister of Foreign Affairs, Emigration, and Expatriates of the Arab Republic of Egypt. Also joining us at the head table is Club Vice President Khaldun Azari, who was instrumental in setting up this event. The Foreign Minister is visiting Japan and his counterparts, taking part in Tokyo International Conference on African Development TCAD discussions that will be ongoing from 24th and 25th of August. TCAD 9 is going to be held in my hometown, Yokohama, next year. It's crucial diplomatic role in the Middle East. Egypt also plays a leading role in policies and development of the African continent. We are lucky that the Foreign Minister's visit matches the club's aim to be where news is made, as the timing is crucial for global events. In the war between Israel and Hamas, key mediator Egypt has expressed skepticism on Wednesday about a ceasefire proposal that was meant to bridge gaps between the sides. Negotiations did resume in Cairo on Thursday, but fears are indeed growing of a wider regional war if they fail. Egypt has a unique role as a mediator and has been an effective party as it borders Gaza and is estimated to have seen over 100,000 Palestinians cross its border since last October. In short, I'll just cut to the chase. Foreign Minister Abdulatty took office in July, on July 3rd, as he just told us, or in the private room, but formally served as Egypt's ambassador to the EU. And today he's going to offer insights on all breaking news crucial to Japan and the world today. Since joining the Foreign Service in 1989, our guest has held a broad range of jobs, including 4 years at the embassy at Tokyo. I think he was just reuniting with old friends, serving as Foreign Ministry spokesman, and also as Egypt's ambassador to NATO. We will have opening remarks and a reminder that Zoom is on in this conference. Please turn off your cell phones if you haven't done so already. With no further ado, the Foreign Minister. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you so much, Chairman, for your kind words, and thank you, old friend Khaldun, and old friends here in the room. I know how busy you are, and we have very, very limited period of time. So allow me just to give you some specific comments and observations in 5 minutes, and I will be more delighted to communicate with you and to listen to you. Very quickly, number one, that Egypt and Japan, we have a very strong and strategic relationship. And today I had the honor to meet with Prime Minister Kishida, and I'm going to meet with the Foreign Minister a few minutes from now. And also I met with the Parliamentary Friendship Association and also the head of JICA and other ministers here in the cabinet of the government of Japan. So it's an important, long-standing relationship. It doesn't cover only political levels, but also we have economic, trade, and the strategic aspects of our cooperation. Japan is a big country in East Asia, and Egypt is a big country in Africa and the Middle East. And we always working together for the sake of peace and stability, and of course for development of Africa. And we always commanding the role of Japan in the Middle East and in Africa, and commanding this important TCAD process. The second main comment is related to, of course, Egypt and what we are doing in our neighborhood. We are living in a very, very turbulent region, whether in the Middle East or in Africa. including the Horn of Africa and the Sahel region. Egypt is the main pillar of stability in this region. We will continue to do so. This is the biggest Arabic country, and it's a country with pioneering role in peace. It was President Sadat who took the initiative by visiting Jerusalem, and he paid his life for this visit for the sake of peace and stability. So this is part of our foreign policy. Secondly, we are against polarization. Egypt, as a main country in the Middle East and in Africa, we are against polarization. We are pushing for, our main pillar of factor in guiding our foreign policy is, of course, strategic balancing to create and to have strategic partnerships with all stakeholders. We have a strategic partnership with the United States, with the European Union, with Japan, and also we have strategic partnerships with China, with Russia, with India, with Brazil. So we are an independent country and, of course, working with all regional and global powers for the sake of development and stability. The next comment is related to the unfolded events in our neighborhood, namely, and I will speak very quickly on 3 issues, and I will open the door for discussions. 1, Gaza; 2, Sudan; 3, Red Sea and Horn of Africa. In Gaza, unfortunately, what's happening is shameful for all international community. To have a catastrophic situation, to have 40,000 people being killed, 75% of them women and children, this is shameful for the international community. And also to have 100,000 people to be injured, and still the attacks going on, and that does not serve the stability in the region. We are very worried about a possible escalation, a possible dragging of the whole region into a full-fledged regional war. And that's why we are working day by night with the Qataris brothers, with the American friends, in order to have a ceasefire, to have a deal. And if we have a political will and good intention, we can reach a deal anytime. Today and tomorrow are very crucial to work on having a deal. As I mentioned, the main condition is to have a political will to reach this deal. We will continue to do our efforts to allow having a deal, to have a ceasefire, in order to have more humanitarian aid. People are on the verge of starvation. We have a spread of polio in Gaza, and we support the Secretary General of the UN call for having a ceasefire for vaccinating the kids and the children in Gaza. So we have to work together, Egypt, Japan, and all players in the world, in order to push more and more for having a ceasefire and to secure the release of all hostages and the Palestinian prisoners, of course. As for Sudan, the situation is catastrophic, and unfortunately there is no media attention on what's happening on Sudan. We have between 800 to 900,000 people already on starvation. We welcomed the Sudanese government decision to open crossing Adri between Darfur and Chad, and we are pushing more and more for accessibility of food, humanitarian assistance to Sudan. We have received around 1 million persons from Sudan since the eruption of this current war on April 2023, and this is in addition to another 9 million refugees and guests, as we call them, living in Egypt 4.5 million of them, they are Sudanese. So this is very important issue, and we need an urgent ceasefire and, of course, accessibility of humanitarian aid. Finally, the issue of escalation in the region, the escalation in the Red Sea does not serve the interest of Japan or the West or the world community or the interest of Egypt. We are the most affected country, maybe Egypt and Japan, due to the escalation in the Red Sea. We are pushing more and more to respect the freedom of navigation. That's important. Egypt every month is losing around $600 million every month. $600 million we are losing it during the drop of the revenue of the Suez Canal. We used to have every day 72 ships crossing the Suez Canal, now not exceeding 27 ships. So that's important for Japan, for Egypt, for world community to ensure freedom of navigation. And this is mainly because of Gaza. If we manage to stop the war in Gaza, that will have positive implications on the Red Sea and to have de-escalation in the whole region. I went to Tehran. I am in close contact with the acting foreign minister. I went to Beirut. I am in daily contacts with the foreign ministers of Russia, of China. I received Tony Blinken 2 days ago in Cairo. My president is in daily contacts with the leaders, including President Biden, in order to push for de-escalation and to have a ceasefire. Situation also in the Horn of Africa is of extreme importance, and we need to have stability and to preserve and to respect the territorial integrity of each country, including Somalia, of course, and to respect the sovereignty of Somalia. I will stop here, and please, I'm quite happy to receive any comment or questions from you.
Mr. Minister, thank you very much. I'm going to take the liberty of asking the first question very quickly, sir. If I paraphrase your remarks, you seem optimistic still, despite all of the obstacles out there. What do you see as the greatest, considering that we've been talking ceasefire since the spring, what remains the greatest hurdle to actually achieving one?
Of course, the greatest hurdle is, again, the lack of political will. If we are serious, we can sign the deal today, of course. We need to raise above any small political gains. We need to look to the future of the region, and we must have a political will from all sides in order to move forward. We have understanding, we have agreements on many issues. We need to implement a ceasefire. Look to the trilateral statement issued by the President of Egypt, the President of the United States, the Emir of Qatar. We have to push the parties without any delay. There is no one single justification not to sign the deal now, because it does serve the interest of the stability of the world and the stability of the region. So you have to look to the issue from a comprehensive point of view, and I'm repeating myself again, the lack of political will on one side, this is the main hurdle, and that's why we have to push for having a deal, especially that we have a common understanding on the main elements of this deal.
All right, thank you very much. I'll open the floor to our working press first. Yes, sir, in the front. Please identify yourself.
3-4 questions one time.
Yeah, what we'd like to do is just to get more people, we'd like you to limit yourself to a single question,
Okay.
and then we'll get more press to come through. Again, identify yourself and your affiliation.
Hello, my name is Hirofumi Miyoshi from Nikkei newspaper. It's such an honor to be here. Thank you. So I've got two questions. My first one is that ceasefire talks are currently going on in Cairo, and what kind of settlement do you hope to achieve? in this ceasefire
What
negotiation?
kind of
Settlement.
Ah,
Settlement.
Okay.
That's the question number one.
Just one.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. And we just need to get everybody in. Next, the minister will respond.
Very quickly, thank you so much. We value Nikkei as a very leading economic outlet. As for your question, you know, what we need, the most important issue is a ceasefire, which will allow the release of all hostages without any exceptions, and of course allowing the release of some Palestinian prisoners, and of course allowing unhindered access of humanitarian and medical aid to Gaza. If we manage to achieve this deal and having a ceasefire, of course the Rafah crossing will be open without any impediments from the other side to allow more trucks, more aid, more humanitarian aid, more medical aid to come. I spoke with the Secretary General of the United Nations. I spoke with the Japanese side, with all partners, that the moment if we reach a ceasefire, that would be the golden opportunity to have flow of aid to the people in Gaza in order to avoid starvation and to avoid the spread of the polio epidemics or other diseases in Gaza. So it's urgent, it's very important to move forward and to reach this deal to secure a ceasefire as soon as possible.
All right, next. Yes, sir. Please identify yourself and your affiliation.
Nishimura Freelance, thank you very much for today. One of the big concerns is whether Iran is retaliating against Israel on the assassination of the Hamas leader. What kind of effort Egypt is doing for that incident?
Thank you so much. We are working day by night to avoid the escalation. As I mentioned, President al-Sisi in contact with all leaders, and he instructed me to be in close contacts with all stakeholders, with all ministers. I went to Tehran, I went to Beirut. I phoned 4 times the acting foreign minister of Iran. I met with the speaker of the Lebanese parliament and with the prime minister to avoid escalation, to avoid dragging the whole region into a war. So we will work day by night in order to avoid escalation. But the only safety net, the only condition we need to achieve on the ground is having a ceasefire and to stop the daily killings of Palestinians in Gaza, to stop targeting civilians. This is the main guarantee for having stability and to de-escalate and to avoid any kind of retaliation. And as you know, Egypt from day one condemned and rejected any kind of provocative unilateral actions, whether it's violating the sovereignty of other countries or using assassination as a policy which does not serve the interest of the whole region and risk of escalation in the region. So rest assured, we will continue. We will do everything in our hands in order to avoid escalation in the region.
Our next question will be from Khaldun Ozari.
Thank you. Minister, I would like to ask about the bilateral relations. What results you expect from your current visit to Japan? We know that Japan and Egypt have very good relations, and Japan is very much involved in many projects, including museum and old sites and economy, etc. So what expect?
Well, thank you so much, dear Khaldun, for the question. And we are expecting many from Japan, but mainly to move. I mean, we are not anymore interested in a donor-recipient relationship. We need to focus more and more on investment. This is the most important element and objective, and that was the main outcome of the elevation of the bilateral relations into strategic partnership. It means that we are partners and we have to do more to have win-win situation. So what we expect investment, what we expect to have an annual Egypt-Japan investment conference like what we have with the United States, like what we have now with the European Union. We hosted the first ever investment conference between Egypt and the European Union last June. 450 companies from Europe came and participated, and we signed contracts worth of 30 billion euros. This is what we expect from Japan, to encourage private sector to come to invest, and we have and to make use of the very conducive environment in Egypt. And I met today with the business community here in Japan. Also, what we expect to transfer the first tranche of the yen loan to Egypt as soon as possible, to have a budget support, because we are in dire need for this yen loan due to the implications of the Suez Canal and the problems in our region which hit our economy. The Egyptian economy is back on track. We have now structural reform projects and the programs, and we are doing great with the IMF, with the World Bank. So the whole environment is conducive to transfer the money and also to attract more investment. The GEM, the Grand Museum, is one of the major projects implemented by or funded by Japan, alongside with the Peace Bridge over the Suez Canal, and also other projects. So we value our friendship, and you know much better than me that Japanese, they have a lot of respect in Egypt, and we named one of the major axes in Cairo after the great late Shinzo Abe, and we will continue to develop our strategic relationship with Japan based on win-win situation. But again, we need more investment, more Japanese companies to come and to make use of the opportunities we have in Egypt.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Nakamoto with Fuji TV. As you mentioned, the situation in Middle East is really urgent. And would it be faster if Hamas is on the table of the negotiation? Is there any chance that they come to the table? Are you trying to bring them to the negotiation directly?
Well, Hamas, we have, the Egyptians and the Qataris. We are in close contacts with Hamas, and they accepted the papers of May 27th and July the 2nd, and we need to move forward, and we have understanding. We have a sort of agreements of the previous elements laid out by President Biden, and it's being incorporated in the Security Council resolution, and Hamas announced that they are in favor and they are supporting it. So let's move forward. What we need, implementation. What we need to sign a deal and to announce it in order to move forward based on, the current understanding which serve the interest of everybody, to secure the release of all hostages and to have a ceasefire to preserve the lives of civilians. So let's move forward, and if we have, as I mentioned, good intention and political will, I believe that things will move forward.
All right. Yes, sir. Just to note, we have about 9 minutes left, so we'll try to get in as many questions as possible, but we do have a tight...
Tsutomu Ishii with Asahi Shimbun. First of all, welcome back, Badr-san, as a minister. It's a really pleasure to receive you back to Japan. And my question is about the political will, because as you mentioned, political will of one party is lacking. And from Japan, we observe the situation, in the political situation in the United States, and some suggests that it may affect the region because Netanyahu, Prime Minister Netanyahu used to have a close relationship with Trump, and he might think that Trump might be back to the presidency in November. So, but as we have seen in a Democratic Convention, Kamala Harris is now nominated. So, how do you observe the political situation in America affects the region, and how do you see as like Arab states see the situation as U.S. as a mediator? Thank you.
Thank you so much, dear friend. Always we respect all Japanese newspapers, notably Asahi Shimbun, of course. And with regard to your question, as you know, one main pillar of our foreign policy is not, of course, to comment on internal politics of another country. But what I can say that, of course, United States is an important player, and we have a strong relationship with them. The Biden administration is involved directly on the upcoming and on the existing talks, and President Biden announced many times that he's personally engaging and he's committed to reach a ceasefire, and we would like to make use of this American commitments and in order to move forward, we have also commitments from the EU, from Japan, from all over the countries. Maybe this is the first time since the 7th of October that we have not only consensus but full agreement among all players in the international arena to agree on one objective, which is having a ceasefire right now, immediately. It never had happened before. Unfortunately, before we've been quite upset with some countries who talked about pauses or humanitarian pauses or opposing a ceasefire, and that was the first time maybe in modern history to have countries opposing a ceasefire. So now the good news, we have agreement on all in the international community and by all countries to have an immediate ceasefire. We have to build on it in order to reach a ceasefire as soon as possible for the benefits of the Israeli people, the Palestinian people, and the people in our region, of course.
Anthony Riley, please.
We have to, yes, quickly. If you have one more to stand up, yeah.
Anthony Rowley, I write for the South China Morning Post. Minister, you mentioned Egypt's friendship with Brazil, Russia, India, and China. These are very important countries, obviously, and the BRICS group is enlarging rapidly and becoming more powerful. Do you see the BRICS group, well, I don't believe Egypt is a member at the moment. Do you think Egypt might join that group? And more importantly, do you think that the BRICS group can exert more influence in the Middle East, partly in Gaza and other respects too?
Well, we are a member of BRICS since last January. And we are an active member of BRICS. We consider BRICS as a main economic group, and it's good for us, for Egypt, to have more options for our economy to grow. Again, I would like to repeat myself, we are against polarization. And of course, we are worried about multilateralism and the future of rules-based order, and also the future of principles of international humanitarian law. And that's a big negative development due to the unfolded events and the crisis in Gaza. Because, I mean, if one country refuses to respect the principles of international law, international humanitarian law, refuse to implement measures issued by International Court of Justice, you know, that will question the whole rules-based order and the whole issue of multilateralism. It's at stake. So we have to work together for pushing for a ceasefire, for respect of international law, for respect of international humanitarian law, law, and all groups should, including BRICS, should focus on this direction in order to preserve the lives of the innocent Palestinians, as well as the respect of multilateralism.
All right, with that, we're going to conclude today, as we do with all of our guests. Mr. Minister, we will offer you a one-year honorary membership in our club. You obviously haven't been back to Japan, but will be here for TCAD next year, we know. So in the interim, by all means, please.
Thank
come.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. Thank you. Yes, I'm doing the